What's up guys, my name is Andy. In this video, I'm gonna install kind of a fun upgrade on my truck. I'm gonna put a new tachometer in this thing. In these trucks, we know that they didn't come with one from the factory. The instrument cluster is kind of limited, and it's one of those things where it's nice to have that information, you know, knowing where the RPMs are, is it idling low, how close am I getting to red line? Not that you would do that so much in these trucks, but it's just nice to have that information. So I'm gonna add one of those to my trucks. Before we do that real quick, I wanted to point out, did you guys see the new shirt that I've got? Again, you guys can get this on KruseBuilt.com. This is just a collage of pictures of the truck, and it says on here, it says, she's perfect, because she's perfect. This is how I want my truck to look, and this is gonna continue to look like this. I like the exterior of the truck, the way that it is. I'm gonna refresh some stuff underneath the skin, get things, you know, cleaned up and replaced and stuff as I go along with this truck, but I want the truck to be just how she is, because she's perfect. So anyways, you guys can get this shirt at KruseBuilt.com. And then I did want to point out too, something with this shirt. These shirts, I wanted to have a quality shirt. The material in this it's kind of a slick material. It's not your standard cotton shirt. I didn't want something that was cheap and that would shrink in the wash, and after 4 or 5 washes the logos fade and you can't see anything. I didn't want it like that, so I wanted a premium shirt, and also something that breathes a little. Where I'm at, it gets pretty sweaty in the summer times, and I don't like having a shirt that just you're always pitted out on and stuff like that. And something like this where it fits well, good quality fabric, this is something that I wanted to get. And so if you guys want one of these too, you can get it at KruseBuilt.com. And then one more thing before we get started, I do have a new part that I'm going to install in this video that came from one of my subscribers, Flip Flop's Garage. But we'll get to that at the end of the video. I'll show you what he sent me, and I'm excited to put that on my truck because it's something that I need. So anyways, let's get started. So this is what I want to put in the truck. This is just an Tachometer Tach. It's a 3991. It's a 3 3/8 Tach. Yes, it goes to $8 grand, and that's way more than I need for this engine. But down the road, depending, if I want to do something different with the engine, I might want a little more space for the RPM. You can get one that's got a 6,000 RPM line, you know, for the top, and that would probably be sufficient for most of these trucks. But anyway, it's okay. It's something I wanted to get, and so we're going to put this guy in the truck. All right, so this is what we're going to put in. It's got terminal connections on the back, so I'll show you how we're going to wire that up. And other than that, it's pretty simple. Now, how do you mount this to the car, to the truck? What I'm going to use is Tachometer has a gauge mounting cup in model number 5204. And what's nice about something like this is there's a couple different ways that you can install this on the truck. This cup is designed to fit the gauge, which is great. And then this bracket here, you can either screw it to the dash. It's got a little indentation here so that you can put it on something round, for example, like the steering column. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mount this and set this up so that it will run on the steering column, and then we'll have it right in front of the instrument cluster. And here's that mount ring, so we'll put this on here, and then this thing will pinch on there and should be good to go. So if we open this guy up here, this guy out. Now if you were mounting it in a dash, you've got one of these mounts, and this is slick, so this would sandwich in between whatever you're mounting in, but I can't use that for what we're doing, which is fine. It's not gonna hurt anything. But what I wanted out of here is the instructions, and what's slick is they show you on here how to wire this up. And this is pretty straightforward. There's not much going on here, but what I did is I just went ahead and simplified the drawing. And so what we've got is the gauge, and we've got these 4 terminals on the back here. And we're going to use all 4 of them. We need a signal wire that's coming for the coil. We need a switched 12-volt source. We need a ground wire, and then we need to attach it to the light so that you can run this with the lights. When the lights are on, this will be on with the lights. Now, you could run the lights off of the 12-volt switch source so that when the truck is on, not only is this on, but the light inside is on. You can do that if you want. I'm going to try to hook it up the correct way. And on the back of the light switch, I believe on the 68 F100, which is what I have, we're looking for a red wire with a yellow stripe. So we'll get a hold of that when we get inside the dash. Ground wire, any good ground will work. We're going to come off on the back of the ignition switch. There's a terminal post on the back that's a switch source, so we should be able to connect right to that. And then the signal wire, we're going to go through the firewall and to the negative terminal on the coil. There's only 4 wires to hook this whole thing up. Pretty simple. I think this is something that we can easily do and get put together. And one more thing I should point out here, it gives you these little dipole switch things, and this inside here behind this cover, depending on what vehicle you have, if you have a 4, 6, or 8 cylinder engine, it tells you which way the switches should be. So if we pop this off of here, yeah, right back here, it's kind of hard to see, but once you get it, and both of my switches are up, which is good, this is what we want, and because I have an 8 cylinder, we want both of them up. So we're already good to go. It's already in the stock position, which is perfect for my truck. And then if you wanted to change the light color, red and green, or the white color, you can put this over the bulb and get a different color to match what you've got. Now to make this work, we're gonna need some connectors and some wire. And they don't supply, you know, some gauges, some Tachs come with like a wire harness, and you can just extend the wires and plug everywhere you need to go. But on these ones, we're gonna need stuff like these connectors to clip on here, and we're gonna need the wire. So what I've got is 4 different colors here. We've got the red wire for the 12-volt switch source, black wire for the ground. I got a nice long blue wire here for the signal wire that's going to the Tach, and then this yellow wire will tap into the light switch so that we can run the lights on this. So put all this stuff together, put some connectors on here, and you know, depending on how you're doing something, because I'm going to switch or tack onto the back of the ignition switch, I'm going to need a terminal for that. I'm going to need a terminal for the negative terminal on the coil, and then for a ground, I'll probably find a screw or something underneath the dash that I can just take the screw out and put that in for a good ground, and then the light switch will just attach it to the wire on the back of that. So something like this, pretty simple for you guys. This is a really simple wiring setup for something like this. We don't need to start putting in relays and worrying about resistance and stuff like that. It's a good idea to have a fuse in between the ignition switch and the Tach here. Getting something like simple like a 5 amp fuse would be more than enough to protect this circuit, because coming off the back of the ignition there is no protection. So not likely to have a problem, but it's good to have that kind of a backup. So I'm going to get these wires set up so we can get it put in the truck. Whew, okay, there's a half hour I'm never going to get back. I did notice a couple things here I should point out. The screws on the back of this that you would use with this kind of mount were too long, and so it's hitting the back of the cup, so this thing wasn't fully seating inside here. So I tried to cut them. Long story short, they're still there, they're shorter, but I won't ever be going to this mount with this one. So we'll just leave that in here, we don't need to worry about that. Also, this ring, when you pinch this cup, and it's got this slit in here so you can kind of pinch the cup and put it with this mount. When you put these on there, these tabs on the outside, it's not enough to pinch the cup because the Tach could still rotate inside there, and it's not enough you can pinch them and put them inside this bracket and put these tabs in here. It wouldn't pinch enough. So what I did is I just took some electrical tape and I just wrapped a couple of layers around the outside. You can kind of see it, you know, in there. And that kind of added some thickness to this cup, and so this ring would fit out there, and you can't really tell. I mean, I tried to set it up so that you really can't see that there's electrical tape on there, but it's enough to soak up the gap, the distance that this ring was not fitting on. And then the last thing is the nuts inside here. I only got the screws and the lock washer, but there was no nuts, and these screws don't thread into this piece or this piece, so good thing I had some extra. These are just 1/4 bolt. Kind of frustrating that didn't come with it, but a good thing I had it. Anyways, so that, I think we're good to go. This is going to mount just on the steering column, just like so. And I'm going to put some loom over this. We'll tuck it into the dash, make it look nice, and then we'll terminate the wires here when we get to the right spot where they need to go. There's no point in setting them now because I don't know how long I'm going to need them to be, and I made sure that they were long enough for what we're doing. So now we need to go in the truck and take it apart so we can get this thing put in there. Oh, real quick, I was just looking at the instructions. So I was supposed to have a spacer piece that goes inside here, that goes in between all this. That's why you don't have any nuts that come with it, because there's that piece of plastic that's supposed to be in there, and that helps set everything. And I don't have that in my kit, so that's why I didn't get any nuts, because I don't have that piece. So anyways, you guys, hopefully it'll be in your kit. Alrighty, so I think what we're gonna do, natural position would be just to put it here in the center, and that's great, it's right in front, but the odometer is back behind there, so I think I'm gonna put it off to the side a little bit, just enough so I can see the odometer, but it's not blocking really anything else. And it's still out of the way. I can still get to my switches and stuff. You can put it, you know, kind of anywhere you want. And I think somewhere down there like that. And I'm just gonna use a strap to go through the slots there. And we'll just use like one of those adjustable pipe clamp straps kind of things just to hold it on there, and I'll have to fix the Tach so it's kind of facing the right direction, but I think that'll work. So the next step is to get the dash out, and the reason why is I want to get to the back of the ignition switch to get that terminal, and then the light switch, I got to get that wire off of there, got to find a ground back there, and then run the wire to the Tach for the you know, for the signal wire. So I hate taking these dashes out. There's only, what is there, like 8 screws, 6 or 8 screws, but then you got to take the speedometer cable off the back, and I hate reaching for that. And then when you put it back in, it seems like there's always 1 or 2 screws that don't ever go back in. Let me get this out of the way so we can see what's behind here and know what wires we're going to need to get to. All right, guys, we got the dash taken apart, or at least taken out of the way. And this is where, okay, so I found out a few things. I misspoke about which wires I want to use and stuff like that. Let me go over that real quick. I believe I told you guys the red wire with the yellow stripe. This is good for just the headlights, but we don't want the Tach light to come on with only the headlights. Actually, we want this blue wire with the red stripe, and it's already, you can see how it's already been, somebody had tapped into this before to use the signal when the parking lights are on or the headlights are on. This is what we want to run the Tach light. So I'm gonna solder to this and tape it up, so that'll be good. And then on the ignition here, I was thinking it was like my Mustang ignition that I've got. It has a post on the back, an accessory post, and this one doesn't. What we want to do is, you could use, there's a red wire with a green stripe, and that is an accessory wire, and that will work when the ignition is on. Or if you come down here, I forgot that when you have these kind of little terminals, this little splitter here, this is an accessory, this is on, this is positive when the ignition is on. So, and I've got an open spot in here, so I can just put a bullet connector in there and tap into that for my accessory wire, which is perfect. I don't have to splice into the wires on the back of the ignition. I'll just use that terminal right, just plug it in right there. And then for the ground, anything will work. If you want to use a bolt right here, or like, see how there's a screw, I could just use that. That will be perfect. That's already a ground. So I think I'll do something like that. And then I just need to run the wire for the signal through the firewall and over to the coil. And you can come through anywhere inside here. And I've got a hole right there that's not being used for anything. But that wiring right there that comes through for the coil, I think, and I believe also the oil pressure sending unit thing, and then the temperature, I think all that stuff runs through there. So I'm gonna see if I can find that on the other side and just run the wire through there. I think that's probably the best way. I mean, I don't need to come through where this speedometer cable is or that hole, because then I'd have a little wire jumping over. So I can come through here and I can just put a loom around that and just run it right to the coil. I think it'll look clean and make it look like we know what we're doing. All right, we got everything all hooked up now. Got the wires ran. I'm just gonna leave it right here. We're gonna attach it to the steering column here when we're done. But I don't wanna do it yet. I wanna test it first before we completely mount it. But I did get the wire attached to the parking light wire here on the ignition, the light switch, so blue wire with a red stripe. Then we did a ground right here. And then we've got this red wire. This is my switched. Remember, that's the one that goes into this little terminal here. And that middle piece was the one where I got accessories on, which is perfect. And then the blue wire goes out into the engine bay, where it comes through the firewall, runs right here to the negative terminal on the coil. So everything's hooked up, good to go. Let's go ahead and fire up the truck and make sure everything works before we put it all back together. All right, here we go. We turn it on. There we go. Now we got that thing, the needle was here up higher, but now that it's on, everything's good to go. So let's fire it up. Well, truck needs to run, but hey, you saw it work. Cool. All right, that's exactly what we want. Now we can go ahead and start putting everything back together, put the dash back in, hook up the speedometer cable, and I'm gonna mount this to the steering column here, and then everything will be good. All right, guys, we got her all installed, all put back together, and this is what it would look like, right, from the driver's seat. So I can still see the odometer, which is kind of hard to see in the camera here, but I can see the Tach really well, and I can get to everything, get the wiper blades, and I can, well, the charging, that kind of stuff. That thing never works, so it doesn't really matter, but I can get to everything still. Let's fire up the truck one more time. Look at that. And then if we mess with the choke, yeah, see how it goes up and goes down, so everything's working there. Yeah. Awesome. Yay. So I'm not wild about this right here. So this is the clamp, the pipe clamp. I only have two sizes. I have this one, which is kind of too big, and I have one that's too small, so I'm gonna have to go to the store and get a different one. I don't know what else you use. I mean, I guess you could use zip ties, but I think that would look worse. I'm not wild about having this metal edge on here and stuff. I don't know, it's not horrible, but I'd like to have a better way to mount this on the steering column than what I've got. So let's look at the thing that Flip Flops Garage sent me. Awesome. Okay, so who doesn't like getting free stuff, right? I've got a subscriber that is, well, he has his own YouTube channel, Flip Flops Garage, and he has an F100 that is awesome. In fact, don't be surprised if you see some of the things that maybe he has done to his truck that I might do to my truck down the road. There's a lot of things on his F100 that I really like, and I would like maybe to go that way with my truck, so I'm kind of excited about that. But anyways, he noticed something that I was missing in my truck through the various videos that I've done, and he decided to send it to me. And this is one of those things that I would have bought. It's just really low on the the list because it's lots of other things I want to buy, but you know you need it and I want to complete it. So what did he send me? He sent me the horn button for my truck. Now this is something that, again, it's the gesture, right? It's awesome that he sent this to me. He had it left over from his truck. I don't care that it's not brand new. This truck isn't new. And the fact that it came from one of my subs just makes it that much better. And I'm pumped. I can't wait to get this on my truck. Again, Flip Flops Garage, go check out his channel and see his truck. And maybe you'll see the kind of the reasons why I'd like to do some of this stuff to my truck. Let's get this installed real quick. All right, so where you can see I'm missing that horn button on here, and this guy's gonna fit right on there. What's cool is the way this thing is set up with these 3 tabs, you just put it in here and then you twist it and it locks it into place. Now I know my horn doesn't work. I've got a couple of wiring issues I need to do in my truck, but that's okay. I think this is gonna complete the steering wheel, which is what we need to do. And then I need to put this spring on here. This will keep the tension on it. So let me put that on there real quick and then we'll take a look at it. So we gotta have this spring on here. And then this guy, again, it's gonna go inside here and we will twist it into place. So we gotta push it down and twist. There. See now, this is what would happen if my horn was working. That would turn the horn on, but that looks so much better. Yeah, I mean, even just standing back here, it just completes the steering wheel. I like it, thank you so much. You guys should go check out his channel, Flip Flops Garage. Cool, all right, so the Tach is in, the new horn button is in, and again, don't forget the shirt if you guys wanna get one of these, KruseBuilt.com. And I think this is done. This video ended up being a little longer than I thought it was gonna be. Doing this Tach is not difficult at all. This is something that there's only 4 wires. You saw the wires I plugged into, I tapped into to get this to work. It's just a little bit of kind of setting things up and running the loom for the wires to hide it and stuff. Just trying to put a little bit extra effort into it to make it nicer. So that kind of takes a little extra time. But other than that, this is a really easy install and it worked right out the gate, right? It's perfect. So exactly what I wanted. Yeah, that Tach doesn't really fit the truck, but don't worry, I might fix that down the road anyways. All right, guys, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you subscribe, I appreciate it because it helps my channel out. And we'll see you in the next one.